Welcome back to another show, another amazing conversation. Today, I'm your host, Elona helping companies scale their purpose and profit. And today, I'm very passionate about this topic and an amazing guest that I have because it mirrors so much my personal journey of my origin story, so to speak, of where I came from. And I really hope that a lot of the messages that we will share today will be inspiring for a lot of people listening, especially women. So, we're going to talk about how to be seen and heard as an immigrant woman in business with Solveiga Jaskunas. And Solveiga is also someone very passionate about this topic, someone that speaks to a lot of other women that resonate with our journey and story. So I'm very blessed to have been able to connect with her via LinkedIn, and here we are having this conversation. Thanks so much for being here and welcome.
Well, thank you so much for inviting, and nice to meet you finally. We exchanged so many messages, and it's beautiful to see you live in person. Remote, but still like seeing you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I nurture my relationships. So when I meet people virtually and live, I believe
Mhm.
that it's really the catalyst because I like relational relationships and not transactional relationships. And sometimes I guess as we get
Mhm.
busy, we have to make use of all the different channels. But I love that we're actually meeting and having this conversation. Um, so, Vega, let's start with some of the challenges, or maybe just give me your origin story a little bit, a few of the moments in your journey that led you to this work that you're doing today. Where are you from? How has the journey been thus far? And what is the work that you're passionate about doing in the world?
Sure. So yeah, my name is Solveiga, and I'm originally from a small country, Lithuania, Eastern Europe. I came to the States more than 20 years ago. And I think, as many of us, the beginning was really difficult and challenging. For many days, I thought, I don't know if I will ever have a professional career, even if I had a master's degree in industrial psychology. It took me 3 years to find my first professional job in the States. I think what it led where I am now, my passion for helping others. I've been mentoring a lot of other immigrants for 8 years already, and from different countries around the world. And no matter where we are, I found we have so many things in common
Yeah.
because we leave everything we left behind. We have start all over in a new place. We don't have the support we need. And recently, I also realized that those conversations do not happen in organizations. There are like a lot of diversity discussions, but not so much about immigrants. And when a year ago, I got invited to my first podcast, and I didn't do well. I still don't even like to watch it myself, but I started getting a lot of messages from other immigrants asking me to be a voice for them, telling that those conversations do not happen in organizations, telling me that we never have a consultant who sounds like them. We might have an immigrant, but somebody who grew up in the States and whose English is perfect. They told me that was refreshing to hear somebody, another immigrant who's also have an accent on the podcast. And they asked me to continue the conversation, and they told me that they are not comfortable to having those conversations themselves.
Mhm.
And at that time, I realized that the way I was feeling on the podcast, and seeing all the mistakes I make, other people didn't see that, and they didn't care about it. They just wanted to see me. And they also, I realized that that's the reason that a lot of immigrant stories are missing, and people are not sharing even their posts or doing videos on the social media or having conversations in organizations because they feel the same way that somebody else is a better speaker, better presenter.
Mhm.
And I felt sad about it, and I realized that I would like, to have more speakers as immigrants in the conferences, have more consultants and organizations who bring immigrant issues, and this is where my journey started. What I'm doing now. Mhm.
Oh, I love it. I have so much that I resonate with you, and I agree with you that we think we're so, you obviously our journeys are unique, and we come from
Mhm.
different backgrounds and all of that, but we all as humans feel, similar things. And I can so relate to what you said also with me showing up online at the beginning stages of that journey, right? Of how self-conscious you are around kind of like what do I have to say that someone cares to listen, or
Mhm.
my accent, or will I be misunderstood, will I be judged? Because a lot of the times all of that stemmed from our culture. Like for me, it was also feeling seen and heard was not really like a very a thing that I experienced as well. So I think we just kind
Mhm.
of dim our light, and like I don't know if I'm good enough to be able to go on that stage or come on this podcast or go live on your channels
Mhm.
or go meet people live, right? And a lot of that is also stuff that we are also overcoming. And much like you, when I heard the positive impact from the people on the other side, then I
Mhm.
started focusing more on that. And I said, okay, I think I'm just worrying about myself too much. Let me come out of my ego and go into service.
Mhm.
If there's one person that maybe even with the way I talk or the way that I show up, maybe if I positively added value to them, then let me just focus on that piece. And then
Mhm.
everything else just became a continuous process of improvement. And I think it's just one of those things that as humans I've learned that in any area we're always going to be improving and evolving, and but that really should
Mhm.
not be holding us back from our mission, the calling that we feel inside of us to help, to serve, and to share our experiences, whether it's our personal experiences or professional experiences, which is why I create the life school, due to my own lack of feeling heard and seen. Because of the basic human need, when we feel heard, seen, and understood, then we're safe, then we could share what we know. And
Mhm.
diversity is such an important thing, and we all come from a different background. So rather than seeing that as lack, we have to see that as a superpower, because
Mhm.
now we have a different perspective that we actually bring to the table. So I really
Mhm.
believe that even in organizations, diversity with talent is really a superpower in any culture, because then you have amazing talent coming to in your doors from all these different backgrounds, and they have their own creative ways that they can add value to an organization. Solveiga, I want to ask you for the piece of the mission that now you feel called to help other organizations with. What are some of the problems that you have seen and some solutions that you would like to offer to organizations so that you can add value to them based on what you've also learned?
Yeah, so I see that a lot of times there are no conversations about immigrant experiences in organizations. Even 50% of immigrants experience discrimination in the workplace, and I don't know what is percentage, how many of them experience discrimination in the hiring process. I think there are a lot of times we talk about immigrants who succeed professionally, but we don't talk the ones who don't succeed or why it takes so long time to succeed. I also see that initially when I start speaking about immigrant experiences, I knew that it will help and empower immigrants. But suddenly, people from all kind of different backgrounds tell that this conversation is really important. They tell I'm a person of a color and I face different stereotypes than you are, but still stereotypes. Or I have disability and you don't, but your language felt like disability, so that the conversation is important for others. Or I am feeling like an immigrant in my own country. Suddenly, when we start talking about immigrant experience, because it's about feeling not enough, feeling sometimes you maybe don't belong and how to belong in the room, having dreams that are far away and you don't know how to reach them. And suddenly people from all kind of backgrounds relate to it. For me, I really want those conversations more opening people's hearts and minds and seeing that the value of people different than you, working with somebody different than you, and
Yeah.
different than you means can mean so many different things, but just to get out of the comfort and learning from other people from different experiences. So I hope those conversations will happen, because I see everything in America became very political, and immigration is one of the things, and people see from a political perspective. But I want to bring more from a human perspective, and when we start looking as from a human perspective, and people from all kind of backgrounds can relate to it.
Yeah, I love that. I think these are absolutely very important conversations to have around the table for sure, and bring that. And I think something just sparked my curiosity, as you said, and also just connecting it to a lot of my personal journey. Why do you think that we hear about successes? Went from immigrant to, I don't know, successful entrepreneur. From immigrant to this profession or that, or won an award, right? We hear a lot of that as well. But what do you think is really holding people back from, achieving the success that they are looking for, especially when they identify, with that journey as an immigrant? What are some of the pieces that maybe you have seen that we need to talk more about?
I think first, like immigrants face a lot of external stereotypes and a lot of rejections, and sometimes it's hard not to give up and to continue your dreams when you face rejection after rejection. But secondly, also like as an immigrants, frequently we start not having.
Are you looking?
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay, we also sometimes don't seek those opportunities because we see that somebody else might be better. So I think
Mhm.
for organizations it's important, and for immigrants to question not only other people's stereotypes, but our own stereotypes about ourselves, and not to avoid or actually seek for opportunities who will be beneficial for us. Like even you're speaking, on the social media, it should be for everybody, and yet it doesn't feel as comfortable when your language is not your native. And then you think, oh, like, will you be hired? Will other people will reject you because they will suddenly will see your video, and your video, you might not sound perfectly English, you might stumble over words, and people have this fear of will be rejected. But when you start doing, you realize that somehow you stand out because of that. And actually, anybody, somebody will not hire you because of your accent, they will not hire you anyway. And somebody who will hire you, they will hire you anyway as well.
Yeah, I love that you brought that point to the table, because I think a lot of this stuff, just like with anything, what I know about personal development, we also have to be careful that a lot of this stuff is self projecting, right? And going in and doing that work with us, and then focusing on what value is it that we can add. Because I always say that the right people are always going to be connecting with you, because we just don't connect on the way we speak. We connect on values, we connect on value, the way we look at the world, our ideas, our experiences. So there's so much more to the table that obviously any good human will bring. Doesn't matter where they're coming from. That, I think that's really the thing to embrace, and kind of always lean in on that, and lead from value and lead from strength, rather than kind of self-project some of those limiting things that you talked about. But I think that's definitely a very, very important conversation to be had as well. Now, with your bigger mission and the way that you want to see the change in the world, like what would be a perfect world for you? What do you would like to see, at the end of the day, where, you feel like these conversations are being had, and the people that you're supporting are implementing these things that we're talking about? What do you think would be a great result for, for everybody involved, and how will it impact others?
Yeah, so I think, we definitely, I would like to question that negative stereotype that exists even about the word immigrant.
Mm.
And even like I got questioned sometimes, why even I call myself an immigrant after living in the States for 20 years. And I want to question that because being an immigrant doesn't really make you less worthy in any way. It actually it expands your world because you have to bend, you have to learn, you have to adjust to the new culture. I also want, to provide, tools and resources for organizations to support their international employees through the biggest transition in their lives, and to start the conversations that can benefit anybody else. and provide mentoring tools for organizations to support the employees. I also want to have, would like to have more immigrant speakers in the conferences, especially in human resources field, where frequently it's you go and you don't have somebody sounding like me. And I see that, in imperfect voices, people of accent and maybe not as comfortable speakers are really important and needed in the world, where many people feel also imperfect. And you can sometimes not the perfect candidates inspire others, but the ones who other can relate to. And I hope, to bring those conversations to organizations, because it's not only that immigrants don't work hard, sometimes they face a lot of stereotypes, and I would like to question those stereotypes at organizational level.
Yeah, lots of great work for sure to do. But I love that we're talking about a lot of the self projecting thing, because sometimes that could be a very easy story that we tell ourselves. I think moving away from that and more into the power of, being seen and heard, just kind of what we're talking about today, and the value that we can add moves us away from, some of those stereotypes that might be placed on us. And just like anything, there's always different type of people in the world, but the right people will always connect to you. That's kind of what I've learned from my journey as well. So, um, Solveiga, I'm getting used to your name. I love how unique your name is. Does your name mean anything? Is there a meaning behind it that you know of?
Yes, actually, I'm from Lithuania, but my name is Norwegian, and I recently just find out the meaning, and I thought actually it represents who I am. Sol means sun, and Veik means path, and I like to bring sun and clearness and positivity to other people's lives. So in some ways, my name represents who I am.
That isn't that crazy how, even naming, I mean, your parents naming you kind of just like put some of that in your path and the way that you show up in the world, and it's connected to your purpose. I always find that so fascinating as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. We've actually reached the this
Mhm.
part of the conversation where I like to ask my guests to fill in the blank. So in fill in the blanks, I should say, look
Mhm.
at the accent. I missed the S, but fill in the blanks, and
Mhm.
whatever comes up for you, just share that. So I would love to ask you to fill in the blank. What inspires me is
Helping others.
best advice in leadership I've received is
If you don't lead, who will? If you don't speak, who will?
love it. And the last one is my best creative outlet is
My best creative outlet is my children. They always inspire me.
beautiful. How many kids do you have?
Too.
Too. Same here. That's definitely a very important part of our purpose, and ensuring that we're also giving the healthiest, most positive role model to our kids. For those of us that are parents, thank you so much for everything that you do in the world. Thank you so much for sharing your message today. Thank you so much for having the courage to show up and speak about things that usually everybody wants to kind of sweep under the rug, because it's topics that are not comfortable to talk about. But I think just like anything, the truth sets us free, right? So we have to speak our truth, and everything else, let the leaves be where they fall. That's really the universe doing the rest of the work for us as well. But yeah, I really want to thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. And I want to always thank you for always supporting the show. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and share so we can bring more amazing conversations and guests, just like our beautiful guests here today. Thank you again. We still have a few sponsor spots available. So if you're interested in that, reach out and let me know. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Hello, hello, dear loyal podcast listeners. Thank you so much for your attention and the support that you give to our podcast. In addition to the shows that we bring upon you on this podcast, I would love to introduce you to a couple of books that I've authored in case these books can be the next legacy product that you need to surround yourself with to align your life and business and scale your purpose and profits. The first book that I've authored is called Connecting the Dots Backwards. And this book will help you connect the vision between your past, your present, and your future so that you can have that clarity of purpose, so that you can really align your entrepreneurship journey with the purpose that you are feeling called to be able to serve others in the world. That's my first book. The next book is Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship. This book has my legacy framework of connecting the dots between your branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team in your company so that you align your purpose and your profit, and your company can be a self led company beyond its owner. The next book that I've authored is called Visionary Purpose Driven Leadership. And this book will help you scale your purpose and profit at the next level, where you are trading your time and utilizing the money so that you can buy back time in your company, but also grow a company that is really creating impact in the world. So this book will absolutely help